Hello and welcome to another episode of Out of the Zoo. Today I want to take the time to talk about charity work. As we enter into these holidays, it's very easy to forget about those who are in need. We get too busy with work and family and things around us, and many times it's impossible to survive a tough time without good souls like Erin Avery, who I invited to the zoo today to talk about her experience with charity work and what it means to her, and maybe she can give us some guidance on where you and me can go to help out. Welcome to the zoo, Erin.
Hey, Alf, thanks so much for having me. It's great to be back on the zoo.
We've never done this one-on-one like this. There's always been some crazy events, so I'm glad to have you, just you, for once.
We do tend to surround ourselves with a cast of characters, shall we say.
One of the things I want to talk to you about came from a meeting that you and I had, and you were talking about an experience you'd had that day. You helped a homeless woman, giving her water, and it really struck me how this was not something you did on the side. This was part of your day-to-day life. How did you get involved with community work and charity work?
Sure. So, thanks so much for having me here, Alf, to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart. I think that we all have these complicated lives, and there's multi-dimensional lives, and we work, and we have families, and we do all of these different things. And I think that generosity and gratitude is a state of mind. It's not something that you do for 1 hour a week. For some people it might be, but for me it's not. And I really believe that the foundation of this just amazing and good life that we have is gratitude. And so to the question that you asked specifically, how did I start to think about it or not think about it and start to kind of act in this way or think about people that maybe have different situations than me? I think it really starts from my childhood. My parents have always been incredibly grateful and very generous and focused on paying it forward. And so from a young age, my parents always modeled that behavior, whether they actually did formalized volunteer work or whether they just behaved in this very grateful and generous manner. So I would say that it started from a very young age, and that my parents really modeled that behavior, and then I was surrounded by people who modeled that behavior. And as a result, it's always made me very grateful for what the gifts and the blessings that I've had in my life, because I understand that those things don't come to me lightly, and those blessings didn't come to me lightly. So I really believe that the foundation for this great life is gratitude, and then with gratitude comes paying it forward.
Wonderful. I wish more of us were doing it that way. Well, I live in a small community, and there are a lot of people in need here too. And my daughters are, for example, doing a couple of soup kitchens this holidays, and they are helping out a benefit for children, and they love it.
Yeah.
And they were sort of introduced to it by their friends, because it's not uncommon, especially in smaller towns, as you know, to help out. What are the things that the people around us can do to help out?
Yeah, so I think that generosity means different things to different people, and so I think that the first thing that we have to do, especially, the holidays are a great time to reflect on, the many blessings that have been bestowed upon us, and how do we reflect those back out, or project those out onto maybe other populations within the community who have different needs. So this is a great time, but that doesn't mean that just because somebody's hungry in December, you know what, there's people that are going to be hungry in February. So again, I go back to it's a mindset set and a way of thinking. So when you ask specifically about getting involved, there are so many different ways. There are so many different populations that need help and support and love and attention. And Alf, you and I share a coworker and a friend, a gentleman named Chris Dancy, who I think has made many appearances on the zoo. And one of the things that Chris has imparted upon me, and I've really thought about this, is that the currency, our most valuable currency these days is our attention, and giving people our time and attention. Sure, we can donate money, and there are tons of charities and philanthropic organizations that are in need of funds to do the work that they do. And so if that's what's comfortable for you, then think about some of the things that are important. Maybe food is very important to you, or maybe you have a belief system that's very important to you, or maybe children, specifically making sure that children have education or access to food. Whatever it is, think about the things that matter to you. There's an organization out there that needs your help. But if that doesn't feel right for you, take a step back, and again, it's the time and attention and giving of yourself. I think that's the most valuable currency in giving people time. I want to share a great story with you, Alf, that actually somebody shared. This isn't my story. Somebody shared this story with me after the Thanksgiving holiday. This is a lady, and she had taken her family to a place. I live here in Houston, Texas, and she had taken her family on Thanksgiving. The evening of Thanksgiving, there is this gathering for, and I don't think it's actually, I'm sure it's somewhat formalized, but I can't remember exactly what the organization is called. Anyway, it's in a park, and in this park, they bring together people on Thanksgiving evening who are homeless or without homes, don't have shelter, don't have food, things like that. And the focus is that they provide a meal through volunteers. So my friend had taken her family to do this, and it was actually quite cold. I know for folks who don't live in Texas, you think it's sunny year-round at 100 degrees, but it was actually quite cold. And so my friend was talking to this lady, and they were both shivering, and they were talking and just in conversation. And this lady said to my friend, she said, "Oh, you look so cold." And my friend said back to her, "Yeah, you're cold too." And this lady who's homeless said to my friend, "Well, if we hug each other, then we'll both be warm." And my girlfriend said to me, she said, in that moment, I got more out of that interaction with this woman. It was so profound for me. Yeah. And we gave each other a hug, and we warmed up. Yeah. And she said that, I was here, I had this image in my mind that I was going to show up, and I was going to feed people, and I was going to give these families food that didn't have food on this Thanksgiving evening. And here this woman is saying, you know what, if we just hug each other, we'll both warm up. And she said, in that moment, I realized that it was my attention and my interaction with this woman, but it was actually her interaction with me that completely changed me. And so I go back to our attention and our time is one of our most valuable currencies, and how we interact with people in the community who have a need. I mean, her basic need was hunger, but you know what? She just needed to have a human interaction. You mentioned earlier, Alf, one of the other stories that kind of got you and I on this topic, and this was this was back in the summer actually, when Houston is over 100 degrees and it is very hot here. Yeah. And one of the things that I have started doing, because somebody passed this story on to me, for those of you, you drive your car and you stop at a stoplight, and you may see somebody on the side of the road who's got a sign up that says, need money for food, or hungry, homeless, whatever the sign may say. I think that anybody who's many people have seen folks in this situation, and we have this tendency. I know I fully admit this. I'm on a live Alf Zoo admitting this. I don't know what this says about me, but sometimes when I would pull up to an intersection, I would see somebody in that situation. It would make me feel uncomfortable. Here I am sitting in my comfortable car with air conditioning and a comfortable seat, with my mind somewhere else, going to do whatever I'm going to do that I think is so important to me in that moment.
And most of us are probably like that. I mean, I always look away. I am not ashamed to admit. If someone looks at me and they want something from me, my cold surface come on, and I find my way to easily get out of it. And it's not pretty, but it's how we behave, unfortunately.
Yeah, we put our wall up, or we justify to ourselves, well, I don't want to give that person money because what if they're not going to spend it on food, they're going to spend it on these other things. And I met a lady who, as a child, she was actually homeless, and her life changed drastically when she was a teenager. She actually was found in a mall and recruited to basically become a supermodel. And this woman, so obviously her life course changed drastically when she was a teenager, but she spent the majority of her time homeless and impoverished as a child. And she has started a foundation that's called the I Am Waters Foundation, because one of the most fundamental needs that she had when she was homeless as a child or in this situation is access to clean drinking water. And that's one of the biggest problems that people who find themselves in that situation, for whatever reason, is access to clean drinking water. You think about it, you try to go into you see a homeless person in a restaurant or somebody, they're going to get kicked out because they're not buying the, whatever food or whatever from the fast food. So anyway, this lady, Elena Davis, started this foundation now, and she is focused on giving clean water, bottled water essentially, to people who are in situations where they don't have access to it. And so what she said to me and a group of people she was talking to, she said, so the next time you pull up, she said, next time you pull up to an intersection, instead of putting up your wall or looking away or justifying to yourself why you shouldn't help this person, give them a bottle of water. Nobody will ever turn you down. And so I started carrying around a case of bottled water in my car. My husband looks at me all the time. He's like, why are you carrying around groceries in your car? Until he saw why I was doing this. Literally, there's bottles of water rolling around in the back of my car and under the seat. But basically, you pull up to an intersection, you see somebody who has a need, roll down the window, give them a bottle of water. It costs you almost nothing. And it's that gratuitous mindset. And the times that I have done this, the reaction is always one of just joy and thankfulness over something that I take for granted. I'm sitting here drinking a glass of water while we're having this episode of The Zoo. So I really think that it's about a mindset of interacting with people. Everybody has their own story. Yeah. Everybody has their own adventures and reasons that they find themselves in their certain circumstances. And things that we take for granted, other people don't. So it's an opportunity to turn that back around.
Are you doing anything specific for the Christmas holidays? Any soup kitchen community work?
Yeah, absolutely. Every year I make sure to participate in toy drives and things of that nature. One of my girlfriends told me a great idea that she is actually instituting with her own children because she wants to teach her children this mindset from a very early age. She has young children. And so when they make their Christmas list or their holiday list this year, when they make their Christmas list, they then choose one item from the Christmas list that they're going to give to somebody else. It's not a, we'll buy 2 of them and you still get it. The idea is that the gift is actually a gift, an act of giving. And so I thought that that was just such a fantastic way to teach young people about the value of paying it forward from a very early age. It's not about a trade-off. It's about really truly passing things on, passing something on that will bring joy to somebody else. There's a great drive, we both, I think, work, everybody knows we both work for BMC Software. There's a sign up in the kitchen in the Houston office in the BMC Software about a shoe drive for children. And there was this, somebody had printed out an email story about a little girl at her child's school who was wearing her mother's women's size 9 shoes to school every day. And this was a little girl, I think she was maybe in the 2nd grade or something. Yeah. So there are just so many opportunities at every corner during the holiday season to get involved, and so I encourage you to, take time. And if time isn't a currency you're comfortable giving, or attention isn't a currency you're comfortable with, you know what? There's organizations that need our funds, especially at this time of year, as many philanthropic organizations are planning for the 2014 year as well.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting how it all comes back to human bonds, forging human bonds, and sharing of yourself a little bit with others, and getting something in return, right? Yeah. You give them, you help them, but you will get a fulfillment that is hard to match in any other aspect of your life.
Right.
What has this done for you?
Well, that story I told earlier about my friend when on Thanksgiving evening, when this, she said in that moment, looking back at me, this woman, I got so much more out of that. It is every time, and it's not even, I can't even point to like a specific time, but interacting with people and helping people, hopefully they're getting something out of it. I get so much more out of it though. And I think that it is so grounding, and in this, just like I said when we started this episode, in this wonderful life for so many of us, I really believe the foundation of this good life is in gratitude and for me, it's just this constant healthy cycle of paying it forward, but at the same time as I'm paying it forward, I'm getting so much more in return.
That's interesting. Well, you know, in a country like ours that is founded on philanthropy and community work rather than relying on a large government like my hometown, Sweden, people like you makes up the foundation for us, because, you know, it's easy to turn your back on these people. But I think beyond seeing someone helping them and feeling that at least it's being taken care of, I, for example, listening to you, feel compelled to go out there and do something. And as I said, my daughters are doing some activities, and I'm going to tag along, which, you know, coming from a fairly poor background myself, I never thought about it, that I should now contribute. But if anyone knows how tough it is sometimes, it's me. So, you know, it was wonderful. I remember this summer when we talked about this. And ever since then, I've been pondering, what can I do to help out? So, and I hope some of my viewers maybe will feel moved by this, and this is a good time to start. You know, it's always a good time to start. So, yeah, well, thank you, Erin, so much for sharing with us your experience. We'll have you back in the zoo for sure, and maybe more of this cage fighting rather than the crazy events.
I love it, Alf. Thanks to everybody so much, and I hope that you guys find some wonderful joy in paying it forward and in the gratitude that comes with that.
Great. Thank you, Erin, and to the rest of you, take care. Be safe.